Hello everyone, it's Maecrow, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Kingdom Under Fire 2. Will it ever release in the West? I'm going to be breaking down what this game has to offer, what it does different, how it compares to other MMOs, and the problems with the game so that you can answer that question yourself. So let's hop right into it. To start us off, I want to describe what my first impressions were of the game and how it has aged since I started playing. Initially, I was mesmerized by the sheer beauty of the game. The animation and the special effects are done very well, although I must exclaim that some large monsters have choppy animations when you run around them, and scorpions tend to displace mobs a lot, making them hard to hit. The graphics of the game can be turned up really high, which gives the engine the ability to scale as technology improves over the years. At low graphics settings, the game still looks great, and this is where the game deserves a lot of credit. The optimization is wonderful, and the game will run decently on just about any machine. At max level, and after playing for a bit, you will soon realize that you'll have to sacrifice a bit of the aesthetics for performance, as the battles will get more and more epic. Naturally, your frame rate will suffer. But it's quite tolerable, because it's only noticeable when panning over hundreds or thousands of active units. I have an OK computer, and I'm able to play the game on high settings in the questing areas, and medium and large instanced content. Moving on, when you start the game for the first time, you'll want to make a new character. There are 5 classes, and one of them was a new release in late June. Although I wouldn't consider myself quite the aesthete, the character customization would satisfy most people's taste and allow you to create your ideal waifu, or whatever you guys call it. After selecting your class, the leveling process is quite nice, as it gives you a refreshing balance of solo content with classic MMO, hunting and gathering quests, as well as instanced content that you can tackle with your friends. The questing is assisted heavily by map indicators, and there are markings that make it clear when a mob is relevant to a quest. After levels 20 to 22, the instanced content becomes relatively challenging, and having someone to help you makes the process much easier. Next, I will be discussing progression in the game and how you make your characters and your troops stronger. The number one focus should be gaining gear that yields a stat called Divine Protection. You can go down a multitude of avenues when improving your freshly leveled character. For example, crafting. Crafting is quite accessible when leveling up, as materials are plentiful. Learning a craft and being bound to it is not necessary, as you can level all or none of the crafting skills if you wish. The crafted items are not laughable, such as the bracers, which are actually best in slot. You can crit while crafting to yield extra stats, and the crit rate is reasonably high. The critical crafted gear is on par with the lower grade gear that comes from the 8-man content. There are various ways to improve gear, such as slot gems, enhancements, and stat rerolling, and per usual there is some RNG involved. Slot gems drop from most content and have a tier system in which the amount of materials needed scales exponentially. However, there are methods to gain lots of slot gems. Even if there are 7 tiers, most players stop trying at 5. Enhancement stones are where most of the RNG falls, where plus 15 is the highest and certainly not probable, and isn't even worth attempting. As you can see from this clip, I go from plus 11, which is very respectable, back down to plus 9, while spending $20 worth of a semi-cash currency, which I will go in more detail later in the video. Stat rerolling is a fairly stress-free form of upgrading your gear, as the material is very common and the results can be quite exciting. Moving on to troop progression, which is quite unique to this game, you start off with gray grade units which are satisfactory while leveling and even holding on to for a while after level 30. Firstly, your troops have a level which drastically improves their capabilities. Secondly, there are materials that are used to promote your troops up to a maximum of 5 stars, which are given from quests as well as purchased from a merchant. The currency used to buy materials from this NPC are troop coins, which is the most common drop in instances. The NPC has a limited stock and you're given 3 refreshes each day. This can be frustrating as you can go a day without seeing any materials to upgrade your mortars or other specific troop. To increase the grade of your troops, you must quote-unquote dedicate them to the Royal Army, and you're given a chest which contains a random troop which is 1 grade above the one before. So 5-star grade troops turn into 1-star blues. 5-star blues turn into 1-star purples. Troops can be upgraded in other ways as well. For example, troops of higher grades have equipment slots which can be upgraded using a material that drops commonly in the 8-man content. As your troops gain more stars, they will also equip more gear, which accounts for a large portion of their stat increases. Troops also have abilities which unlock as you promote the troop, and the troop abilities can be upgraded a maximum of 6 times. The cost increases significantly with each upgraded, as well as the effectiveness. Let's discuss a more divisive component of Kingdom Under Fire 2, the combat. This game attempted a combat system which deviates significantly from traditional MMORPGs, where it includes 2 camera styles which play very different from each other. One, a typical third-person view, and secondly, an RTS-style bird's-eye view. There are some advantages and disadvantages to the decision of making 2 combat styles. I'll go into the disadvantages first. To start us off, I'd like to mention that focusing their developing power into 2 types of combat instead of focusing on one like WoW or Black Desert makes the game feel clunky rather than ironed out. For example, the AI pathing in the RTS view is quite poor, and the action combat does not work properly when there is a discrepancy in height, so fighting on inclines is kinda buggy. Also, there seems to be target priorities with the quasi-targeting system used in Kingdom Under Fire 2, where units behind your intended target will be chosen instead of the one directly in front of you, causing your attacks to miss your primary target. I know that animation durations are a big attribute that turn off many players to action combat, and some people may be unhappy to find out animation cancels are not typically possible in this game, only in cases when you're attacking an enemy on the ground. However, I must add that animations are almost always short, and combos between abilities exist and are a big part of the game. Now onto the advantages of the dual combat system. My first impression of the RTS style combat was that AoE abilities were much more accurate and precise than if you were to use an AoE ability from third person, like say a Warlock in WoW would do. I also believe the conjugation of the 2 combat styles raises the skill ceiling a bit, as being able to provide targeted orders in a timely fashion and then returning to your third-person view to wreak havoc will maximize your DPS. This game truly makes you feel like a general as you command your troops to tend to the cannon fodder while your hero performs decisive strikes to the key targets. Okay, so now I want to talk about the amenities that Kingdom Under Fire 2 has to offer. Since it ties in with the previous topic, the first thing I'll be discussing is the combo list. There exists a couple of high-performance combos, although more combos are possible, and you will learn to use your abilities based on the situation by improvisation. Other amenities that are common amongst other MMOs exist in Kingdom Under Fire 2, such as fully functioning auction houses, in-game mail, a banking system, and guilds with special shops. Amenities that are more unique include a bestiary, which includes all the attainable troops and allows you to see what their stats are at any given rank or level, and you can see what their alternative skin would be at 5 stars. It's also nice because you're able to see which troops you've acquired in the past, and it will behave as a sort of Pokédex, which I think is neat. Other miscellaneous features include the loyalty system that appears as a calendar which provides rewards for days logged on, titles which provide bonus stats to your hero or troops, and a fast travel system. Last but not least, I want to mention that there's a fully functioning party finder, which is active and convenient. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm going to be discussing the content that is present in Kingdom Under Fire 2. Once you hit level 13, you will be given a set of dailies which provide you with a semi-cash currency and materials to upgrade your troops. At level 30, tier missions will be unlocked. They are a series of instances which get progressively harder as you advance in tiers. After completing the quests that are related to the tier missions, you will unlock 3 8-man raids, which can be completed once per day. These 8-man raids provide you with 2 possible sets of gear, one with set bonuses and one that doesn't have set bonuses. The gear with set bonuses is rarer, but possesses more divine protection. You will be running these 3 missions for about a month until you're ready to move on to the 16-man raid, which provides legendary gear. The 16-man raid has 5 stages, each of which provides separate rewards, and you can be eligible for loot once per stage each week. Divine Protection is a gear check mechanic that reduces your damage until you reach a certain amount. After that, you will gain damage bonuses in the 16-man raid. The final stage of the 16-man raid is a very difficult fight against a dragon, which my guild has not cleared in the month that it's been available. Continuing to clear the 8-man content and the first 4 stages, we will accumulate more Divine Protection, which will assist us in completing the raid. Aside from the raids, there exists a variety of other missions which provide good rewards and solid amounts of gold. These missions are the 3 invasion missions which alternate each day, tactical missions which are exclusive to troops, and solo missions which put you and your troops against one large boss. To summarize the content realistically, I will let you all know that the 8-man content starts to become trivial as your troops become more powerful and your tactics become more solid. The 16-man raid puts up a good fight, but 2 of the stages can be completed with just about any group of players if they're willing to put the time into it. The tactical missions can be AFK'd if your troops are strong enough, and the invasions, well, 2 of them are cool, and 1 of them is really boring. Another feature of the game which will soak up plenty of playtime is PvP. The current state of PvP is better than it ever has been, with a new balance patch which made several units viable, while not overshadowing the units that were pseudo-OP. The developers of the Russian server seem to have the philosophy that nothing is broken if everything is broken, and combat has become very fast because of this, but I digress. The 2 main types of PvP are 4v4, which have matchmaking, and 8v8, which are guild wars over control of territories on the world map. First I will discuss the 4v4 mode. The objective is to eliminate enough of the troops to automatically spawn that the second bar at the top reaches 0%. Then a boss will spawn. The first team to kill their opponent's boss wins. This mode is quite fun as you're capable of bringing 8 troops onto the battlefield assuming you've acquired enough battle points. Battle points are given passively and are given to you for eliminating enemy player controlled troops. Only 3 of the 8 troops you bring onto the field are controllable. The other 5 will attack the closest target. Being able to use so many troops allows you to have a versatile pool of counters to your opponent's troops. For example, if your enemy has bomber wings, which unleash hell from the air, you best have eagles, which are anti-air, or sufficiently strong archers. If an opponent has a scorpion, hopefully someone on your team has mortars as one of their 3 controllable units, or you will be severely punished. A complaint I have about this PvP mode is that the matchmaking is quite poor, and you can lose the game instantly if you're matched with someone who isn't even max level yet. Not only do they not have a strong pool of troops, typically they don't have anything that is useful in PvP. It is quite uncommon, but very frustrating. Recently, mages of all types were buffed significantly, which provides the fight with a lot of anxiety as most mages have abilities with 3 to 5 second cast times which destroy any troop in a large AoE. Some players took to the forum to express their misfortune, but it turns out mages are very healthy for the game as they encapsulate a high risk, high reward unit, which are countered strongly by heroes. The 4v4 mode has a leaderboard which resets every 2 weeks, and a semi-cash reward are given to the top 100 players, and all players who have more than 5, 15, and 30 wins. The 8v8 Guild Wars are scheduled events on Saturdays which incorporates an attacking and defending scenario with the utilization of siege weapons and the planned composition of troops. I am not too familiar with this mode as I have only participated once, but I do know that control of the territories provides rewards to the guild, and some territories are more valuable than others. In my one experience, I had a great time. However, the strategy for defense involves the abandonment of the outermost walls and turtling on the second funnel point, which takes away a little bit from the immersion as an expensive competitiveness. Okay, for the next topic, I really suggest you hear me out before you run for the hills. I'll be discussing the business model that 4Games Russia has taken, free to play with cash shop. By most people's standard, this game is what you would call pay to win, and by that I mean you can use cash to progress faster and have more options. The cash shop contains costumes with stats, however there are costumes that are relatively easy to attain for free that have the same stats. It contains cubics, which are the semi-cash currency I've been talking a lot about. To purchase 1,000 cubics you'd have to spend about $1.60, however from doing dailies which take no longer than an hour and a half you can attain 390 cubics, which translates to about 60 cents each day. To put this into perspective, you can gain about $18 in semi-cash currency from doing your dailies, along with other rewards, which I think is really exceptional. This currency can be used to try your luck with gacha, which can provide materials for purple troops, random blue troops, and troop experience books, but it's terribly inefficient and overpriced, so I would say most people ignore this feature. Cubics can be used to increase your chances at successful enhancements, but only marginally, and below plus 10 it's quite wasteful. And cubics are also used to revive you in combat, but you're given 3 free revives each day, and there are dailies which provide you with revive coupons. The cash shop also contains boxes which can provide you with purple troops, blue troops, buff potions, and other materials. This is probably the most pay-to-win element of the game. However, you still need to find a certain material that drops from the 8-man content in order to upgrade purple troops, as it's not offered as the potential rewards from these cash boxes. There is also a premium membership which provides you with a couple of extra rows of inventory space and the ability to access each 8-man raid an extra time each day. I must remind you that this is the business model offered by the Russian localizer and may not be representative of other regions. But I must say I don't believe many people are spending cash on this server because it does not really give you that much of an advantage compared to free players. The difference between a cash player and a free player in PvP, given they play the same amount, is negligible. So now I want to wrap things up. Going back to the initial question I posed to everyone, will this game ever come out in the West? My honest answer would be yes. However, I do not believe they will have all content available at the start of the release, and instead will gate content and units as an illusion that they are developing something new. If the Russian server tells me anything, the localization from one region to another introduces a lot of new bugs which affect the client stability as well as skill functionality. These bugs tend to stick around for a while, leaving players feeling frustrated that a troop they once liked to use is now rendered useless. I believe the Western market will not be kind to the game as they experience periodic crashes, poor RNG, rolling through content exceptionally fast, exploiting loot systems, frustrating and demoralizing PvP matches, and slow development of content and troops. All in all, I believe the game will release to the West, and it's worth a few months of your time, but I do not believe the game will have a great amount of longevity as the shortcomings of the game become glaringly clear. Thank you very much for watching this video. This is my first attempt at an in-depth review and I had a blast making it. If you liked the video, please consider dropping me a like and subscribing. Until next time, see ya!